So Nitin Bhai and Pallavi ji, are you there?
Yes, we are here. Thank you,
you.
Sunil Bhai, and thank you, Madan ji. What a wonderful session. And welcome to all of you. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji, over to you.
Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji. Thank you, Madan ji and Sunil Bhai, for a wonderful session, like always. Very warm welcome to all of you. Good morning, good evening. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. Today we are, the plan was to, I gave you a teaser yesterday. So the plan was to go over Jivatmas. However, change in plans, we are going to pick up a topic which is very, very foundational. Right? When we start building an empire, the foundation has to be rock solid. And got inspired to pick up this topic, which is very close to my heart as well. And as we get into the discussion, you'll know why. So we will have a very good discussion on this topic around if you're part of God, are we complete like God himself? And do we have all the qualities of God? And what do our scriptures tell us about that? And it's a very, very deep topic. It's a very interesting topic. And I can bet even after listening to it, there will be a time you'll again get confused. Okay. And I have spent a good amount of time on this topic. If I were ever to do a thesis, I could never do PhD, but if I were ever to do a thesis, I would pick up this topic because I've spent a lot of time with Vedantis, especially when my spiritual journey started. And this concept befuddled me for a while until I came across Maharajji's philosophy, and there were absolutely no loose ends around it. Okay, unsurprisingly so. So you'll be able to appreciate this topic. So let's get started. I picked up a Gita shloka which sets the context for this, and then we'll get really deep into philosophy. Please keep your thinking hats on today. I've tried to simplify it through some questions that can help drive home the concept. But if at any point you feel that it's getting a little too much, feel free to stop me, and we can have a good discussion around that topic. It's important that we get a good understanding on this topic because it's very foundational. And then towards the end, we will discuss, all right, we are discussing all these concepts. How does it matter to me, right? All paths lead to Rome, lead to God. How does it matter to me? And we will discuss how does it matter to us. It really matters to us. Okay, let me share my screen and we will get started on this fascinating topic. All right. So with our opening prayers, pick up something old. All right. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening once again. Welcome to today's session. So let's get started. I picked up chapter 15, verse 7 today, which introduces this concept that we are going to discuss in great detail today. Mame vansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha mana shashthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. All right, do we have any volunteers?
Yes, Surinder ji, Radhe Radhe. You're the first one today.
Radhe Radhe, Surinder ji.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Mame vansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mama shashthani indriyani prakrti sthani karshite. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Surendra ji. Radhe Radhe.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya.
Mamai vancho jivloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manah shasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati.
Wonderful. Very nice, Sandhya.
Shyam ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Mame vancho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mana shashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Radhe Radhe.
It's Shyam ji. Radhe Radhe. Wonderful.
Dinesh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll pick up
Mama,
maybe 5 or 6 hands because we have a lot of theory to cover today and a lot of interesting concepts which will give us food for thought as well. So maybe we'll pick up 3 more hands and then we'll get started.
Sure.
We'll spend good time on discussion today. Yes.
Mama evanso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha mana srastani indriyani prakriti stani karsati.
Very
Radhe Radhe.
nice, Nishi. Radhe Radhe. 3 more
Sam
hands.
ji, yeah, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Mame vansho jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatanam mane shashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you very much, Sanji. All right, 2 more hands and then we'll get started.
Yes, Akshata ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Sanji.
Radhe Radhe. Mamai vamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manashashtani indriyani prakrutistani karshati.
Wonderful.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Last one.
Rupa ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Yes.
Ji.
Mamai vansho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manashishtanindriyani prakristani karshati.
Wonderful, Rupaji. All right, sorry about that. We'll have to move fast today. A lot of content to cover and a lot of good discussion to follow. So let's get started. And it's a very, very deep, profound, important, foundational concept in spirituality. As you go along, you will be, these doses will come in increments from various quarters. And what will happen is, the worst thing that can happen is now it raises a doubt. And doubt is like a demon. It needs to be nipped in the bud. Okay, so one way is to learn it through your own experience by experimenting around, hearing from here and there. Second is you learn it from somebody which is directly coming from the source, right? So I have dabbled with this concept myself, and it can often be very confusing. And believe it or not, when I started reading Bhagavad Gita, I used to be in companies of Vedantis. Vedantic, which is Advaita concept. Okay, this is what we are going to see. And there were more questions than answers around that concept. And there is a reason for that as well. We'll get into that. Until I came to Maharajji's philosophy, and then everything became crystal clear. Right? Beautiful clear with no loose ends whatsoever. And whatever little I have understood, I've tried to present it in a manner that makes it logical sense, and we can build layer by layer. At any point, if you think it's not making sense, feel free to stop me. But the whole idea is that from here on, we can lay this doubt to rest perpetually in our mind. Okay, next time a wind blows from some direction and brings in this concept, you say, okay, I do get it. Okay, so let's continue what we are doing. All right, so in this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying that the embodied souls in this material world are my eternal fragmental parts. Right? Now, God's parts. Can God's part be any less than God? If we are his parts, it says each part, that philosophy is replete with everything that God has. It's perfect and has entire qualities that God has, right? That is the philosophy which we are going to look at in perspective today. And then it goes on to say, Lord Krishna saying, but bound by my material nature, right? He's saying bound by my material nature. Okay, operative word is bound. Okay, please make mental note of it. They are struggling with the six senses, including the mind. Okay, so this is fine. We are struggling with the senses, we know that, and mind, you can consider it a sixth sense because it's a governor of our senses. We'll not get too much into that. We will focus on the fragmental parts and the fact that they are bound by his material energy. Now the question comes, all right, the philosophy we are going to discuss, where is it coming from, right? We see so many philosophies roaming around. You go Vedantis, there are so many Vedantic scholars which are out there. They say it one way. Shankaracharya ji had a philosophy. Ramanujacharya ji had, Madhavacharya ji had a philosophy. Which one to go for, right? How do I know which one is actually the most correct one or the correct one, or if at all the correct one, right? So there is a method to this whole thing. Now, what we are going to discuss today, I'm going to tell you where it is coming from. It is coming from Jagat Gurutam Sri Maharaj Ji. He was awarded this Jagat Guru. You know, we are Mool Jagat Guru. How many are there? 5, right? Starting with Shankaracharya Ji. And he was accorded this title of Jagat Gurutam. Not just Jagat Guru, but Jagat Gurutam. By no people like us. It was accorded by 500 scholars. And each scholar was the expert in their respective area. For example, one will be Vedanti, not a Vedanti, armchair Vedanti. He would have spent his entire life dissecting Vedant philosophy or Shankar Bhashya, right? Or Brahma Sutra. So, similar to that, there were 500 scholars. And by the end of it, and Maharaj Ji, when he started, you know, with those scholars, how he started off, he actually did Khandan. He said Vedas are absolutely, they don't make sense. So scholars were like, what are you talking? We have spent our entire lives, Vedas are the words of God, and you are saying it is absurd. And he went on to prove it. He said this says this says this says it's all contradiction, this, and they could not defeat him in that. Khandan. And then he did, and then everybody said, yeah, it makes sense what you are saying. All 500 had to agree. And then he said, no, by the way, all of them are correct. And then he did the Mandan. Okay, and then again he reached the mini debate. So finally they said, all right, it is humanly not possible to actually have this level of depth of understanding of our scriptures. It is unprecedented. An ordinary human being cannot do it even in thousands of lifetimes. Okay, that is why he's avatari. I'll get to that maybe in another different session when we get to Guru. And he was conferred the title of Jagat Gurutam. Okay, so this knowledge is coming from there. It's not something that, I sat and I heard some lecture and I've been reading some book and some brainwave came and I started sharing with people. All right, this is what the truth is, and it ends up confusing people. No, it's coming from a bona fide source and you can vet it yourself. Now let's look at the title that was accorded to him. We are going to focus on the one aspect of it. He was accorded these titles by them. Okay, sorry about that. Srimad Padvakya Praman Praviran Vedmark Pratishthapan Acharya Nikhil Darshan Samanvay Acharya Sanatan Vedic Dharam Sansthapan Sat Sampradaya Param Acharya Bhakti Rog Rasavatar. That was the title that was accorded to him. Okay. Today we are going to focus on the Samanvay Acharya aspect of it, because he was able to reconcile all the philosophies right from Shankaracharya all the way up to covering all the Jagat Gurus, right? So what happens, it's like the story of those 6 blind men. They touched on one aspect. They're not blind. Gurus, Jagat Gurus were all divine personalities. However, it is a function of Desh, Kal, Niyam, audience and all that stuff. So they picked one aspect of God. Like after Buddha, Shankaracharya came, so he built on that aspect. And they divulged only one aspect of it. But their followers started saying that is the absolute truth. Until Kripaluji Maharaj came and said everybody was right. Okay, let's look at the whole elephant now. Okay, not just in isolation, one aspect alone. And he was able to beautifully reconcile it. So Samanvayacharya, reconciliation, is the biggest gift he gave. So that Sampradaya, or getting divided in thoughts, Sampradaya and all, can be laid to rest. Let's just understand it in an entirety. So People who would say God is only this, God is only this, he clarified it and said God is not only this but also this. He was able to beautifully reconcile that. When we say he, then it becomes divisive, exclusive, and limiting. When we say bhi, it becomes inclusive, and with beautiful logic, references from scriptures, and you name it, and it is so beautifully explained you can't even imagine, okay, even if you get to the depths of that knowledge sometime. So he was able to reconcile, and that is where this concept is coming from, okay. And like I said, only after being introduced to his philosophy, the concept about this relationship with God that we have, that fragmental parts, are we like God or not, got clarified once and for all. And hopefully we'll get a taste of that today. How? So let's get started with our discussion. I'll pose a question to begin with, just to get your thought process going around it. Okay. So let's pose the question. So here is a guy, let's name him Ramesh. Okay. Now Ramesh, as you can see, he has very nice hair and a hairstyle too. And Ramesh has some nails as well. Okay. So my opening question is, are these part of Ramesh's body or not? Okay, those of you say no, let's quickly move. We don't have to long discussion on this one. If you think no, you can raise your hand. If you think yes, and that is your default answer. Anybody who thinks they are not? Nobody raised, which is a good sign. All right, they're part of Ramesh's body. So you did a favor to Ramesh by agreeing to that. All right, now let's move. Are these same as the body of Ramesh or different from the body? All right, let's hear. This is an interesting question now. Are they same or different? Anybody? Anybody who wants to? Okay, I can see one hand raised. That's good. Say Sandhya, go ahead.
Yes,
Couple of
Madhyaji.
let's quickly do that.
I mean, they are different. I mean, they are part of the body, but they are not exactly the same as the whole body, right?
Why would? What makes you think so?
Um,
How dare you say so? That is good.
because
Go ahead, go ahead.
hair are different from nails, and they have their own traits. So together they form the entire body.
True. Great. Valid point. Let's quickly hear from others as well. Real quick.
Yes.
We have not a lot to cover today, so
Yes,
don't take much time.
Pragyaji.
Just make your point quickly and we'll move on.
Yes, Pragyaji. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, they are part of the body. Radhe Radhe, Nitin and everyone. Beautiful, beautiful start you have made. It was really like enthusing. So yeah, hair and nails are part of the body, but एक ही शरीर में चेतन भी है और चेतन भी है, जड़ है. So whenever we cut the hair and the nails, the part that has grown, it doesn't pain. But the minute the nail cutter steps into the part that is sentient, we say, oh, ouch. There's like, a kind of
Yes.
beautiful combination of Chetan and Achetan in the whole body, in the whole human body.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Very good technical point you made, Pragyati. Loved it. Yes, real quick, Surendraji, and then Shyamji, and then we'll move forward. See, we have a lot of theory to cover, and we'll build it.
Yes, Surendraji, please go ahead.
All these what we are discussing is, I am saying it is my hair, my nail. That means it is different from me.
True.
Body is also my body. And then part of with the body we have nail, we have the hair. But the earlier devotee has rightly explained that when you cut the hair, it doesn't matter. When that is what the whole sense is. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Good. I think we covered the point I wanted to make in this one. So we'll not drag this conversation further because we have enough to cover today and enough discussions that are needed. So yes, it is body. That is true. And yet it is different. That is also true. It is not sentient. You can cut it, but the skin part is different, right? So even in our body, we see it is body and yet it is different. Even in sun, we see sun, the surface, sun, the core, sun, the rays. You can say it's all sun. but at the same time, yet they are different. Rays are different from the surface, and surface is different than the core, right? Although it is again the same entity. So I hope that concept is clear, at least at this point, right? Now let's build on this concept. The second concept is, now here is the drop in the ocean. Okay. And here is the waves in the ocean. Okay. That is another argument that comes across. Waves in the ocean, drop in the ocean. Now my first question is, does the wave and drop have the same qualities as the ocean? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, Padmaji.
Yes, Padmaji, real quick.
It was actually, I raised the hand for the previous one, but waves in the ocean and water in the ocean, the properties could be same, but I don't think the intensity or the energy behind that is exactly same. It could have common some characteristics or qualities, but it's not equated to the energy or the ocean or the capability of the ocean. That's how I see it.
Beautiful point, Padmaji. Anybody who disagrees with Padmaji, let's simplify this conversation.
Waves are temporary. Sorry. Waves are temporary.
Okay.
They are not going to remain there. Drop is the essence.
Got it. Yeah. Great. So the same qualities as the ocean. I think you touched upon that temporary aspect as well. Padmaji touched upon the qualitative part of it as well. For example, if you taste the drop of an ocean, do you need to really taste the ocean?
No.
Okay. Let's build on. I can see a couple of other hands. Let's quickly hear from them, and then I'll pose 2 more questions on top of it. Yes.
Yes, Chetanji. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe ma'am, Radhe Radhe sir. Drop is the part of ocean, and the waves is different from drop because waves is due to lunar effect of moon.
Okay. Now, idea is basically technical differences. Would you say that is they have the same qualities as ocean or not? So we don't have to compare.
Both are different.
Yeah, fair point. Yes, Swati ji and Shashi ji, real quick.
Yes, Swati ji, please go ahead.
You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes, Swati ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. What I am able to see is that ocean, when a drop, it is calm, and in the waves, it is angry. We can say, no, it's very angry, or it's not shant nahi hai. That difference, my perspective is coming from inside.
From that angle.
It's a mind, which mind is cool, and a mind which is irritated or agitated like that.
We're looking more from that angle. Got it. I'm just looking at it from this angle of, like trying to explain the relationship between God and us, right? That they're part of.
Thank you.
They're part of the bigger thing, but what is the difference or the similarity between the two? Yes, Shashi ji, real quick.
Yes, Shashi ji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Nitinji, yeah, it has the same properties as well as it has the same taste like ocean. The drop has the same taste. So it is same. It's just, if you taste the one drop, that's how the whole ocean is,
All right. Now that you brought up that point, let me pose 3 more. If you think it is the same, let's think about this as well. Can the wave or drop enable you to row a boat in them? And second, let's say you know the drop. Can it tell you about the expanse and the depth of the ocean just by knowing the drop? Answer is a plain flat no. So, yes, although in some respect it is same, yet it is different. It is the same concept I have driven home, which we did in the first slide. It is part of the body, yet something is different. It is part of the ocean, yet something is different. I hope you are with me so far. We are trying to build it logically. Please feel to stop me whenever you think logic is not following or there is a logical fallacy in what we are discussing. Good. All right. Yes, Kumarji, real quick. We have a lot of theory to cover today. So real quick.
Yeah, I'll make it quick because I think I was trying to answer whether the quality is the same. Yeah, they have both the same qualities was what I was going to say.
Can you
and then of course.
Can you row a boat in a drop?
No, the quality, what I meant It's made of the same thing.
They're cut out from the same cloth. Beautiful. Yes, point made. Very nice. All right, let's move on. Please reserve it for later because we have enough content to cover, and we continue posing more and more questions as we go along. Now, if it is same and yet different, what do our scriptures tell us? Right? It tells us that God Himself is saying that you are my eternal fragment. Now, if you are part of God, why is it not that? Why is it there is a difference around it? So let's get technical around it now. So here is God, and we have looked at this before. Three energies of God. Maya energy, his Tatastha Shakti, which is called Jiva Shakti, and his Swarupa Shakti. Now, what kind of energy is Tatastha Shakti, or the Jiva Shakti, or the marginal or the borderline Shakti, which is who we are? Are there the regular parts, like a stone broke like this, boom, and we became his part? It's actually not so. Okay, Jiva Shakti, we are the parts of his Jiva Shakti. We are, when God says you are my eternal fragments, we are part of his Jiva Shakti aspect of it, which is different. Okay. We'll look at it logically as well. Through our experience, we don't have to go too far to understand this logic. Okay, let's look at it, the Jiva Shakti part of it a little more. So these are the three Shaktis. So we are called as marginal Shakti. Now, what is the symptom or the attribute of his marginal Shakti? Jiva Shakti, who we are. The other argument that is presented is we are like God, so we are Satchidanand. We are God. So if that is the case, here are some of the Brahma Vakyas. So if any of you is introduced to Vedantic philosophy, this Vakyas you will come across. Make mental note of it so that you don't get confused next time around. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmosmi. Okay, these Vakyas people will say, you only are God. I am that. Okay. It can be very, very, very confusing. Okay. If that was the case, even our Aarti should say, Swameva Mata Chapita Swameva. Right? Why Twameva? Who's Twameva here? Let's look at it in context. Okay, we are that. Yes, we are that. We are divine. Soul is divine. We all know that. So that aspect, agreed. Okay. Now, the first question I would say, if we are that, then think logically. God is power. God, one of the definition of God is omnipotent, omniscient, right? Omniscient, all powerful, all knowledgeable. If that was the case, how can all powerful God get overpowered by his inferior energy, Maya, and become ignorant? If we are God, what made us ignorant? That means something more powerful overcame us, because of which we are subservient to Maya and we are struggling. Let's say, for example, you said, okay, it happened. Okay, for whatever reason, I don't. Now, what is the guarantee? Okay, for whatever reason, I, which is God, as per Gyanis, got overpowered by Maya, then what prevents me, God again, from not getting overpowered by Maya into ignorance yet again after God realization? What is the guarantee? If I was God to begin with, first of all, I shouldn't have gotten ignorant. Something happened, I got ignorant. Then what is the guarantee I will not again get ignorant? Because if this is something, it has happened once, it can happen twice. So think about it. If we were God to begin with, how come it's like sun? If I am sun, how did darkness cast its spell on me? Can you claim that you are all-knowing, all-powerful, omniscient? No. Through our experience, we know that. Why are we being tormented by Maya? That means there is some difference. Although we are fragmental parts of God, there is still a difference. Let's move further. Scriptures tell us about bheda-abheda sambandh. There is a similarity and yet there is a difference. Now, people, Vedantis, they focus only on the abheda sambandh, the similarity part of it, and that is where the full stop happens. Okay, so aham brahmosmi, full stop. Tattvamasi, full stop. And there are multiple Soham. I will get into that as well. Full stop. So they focus only on the abhed aspect of it, and which can often become very confusing for people whenever those kind of things come. The bhed aspect of it is there in the scriptures as well, which is conveniently forgotten or not touched upon. The Padma Puran says, I'm talking about Shankaracharya, by the way, Vedanti philosophy. The master, the spiritual master was Shankaracharya. That is where this whole philosophy came. Because he came immediately after Buddha. So instead of getting directly into the deeper topic, it's like somebody came and explained, the Nirakar aspect or the soul aspect of it, and he simply built on that and introduced the Nirakar aspect of it. Didn't go much beyond that. And then the following masters came and they introduced the other aspect of God as well. But then their followers, they got hung up. Okay, we are God. We'll merge with God. We are God, basically. That is where. Now in Padma Puran, Shankaracharya is actually Shankar Bhagwan's avatar. And in Padma Puran, Krishna tells him, go and re-establish Vedas and keep people bahirmukh to me by turning their backs to me. Because that message will happen in due course of time. So Shankaracharya, although he preached Nirakar, the abhed aspect of God, in private, he was a Rasik saint. He taught his mother Krishna Bhakti. Bhaja Govindam, go and check it out, what he's doing that. Bhaja Govindam is a beautiful composition by Shankaracharya ji. And it is Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Moodhamate. Oh, dim intellect, just bow down in front of Govind, that cowherd boy. That's all is there to be known about scriptures. He taught his mother Krishna Bhakti. He was a big Rasik saint, but people focus only on one aspect of his thing. Furthermore, in fact, I can share that meditation as well. Maharaji has included in his composition, and Swamiji has a beautiful meditation on, Yamuna Tata Nikat Vrindavan Kanan. That is a Lord Shankaracharya's meditation where he's meditating upon the Krishna's form when he's sitting near the banks of Yamuna with his friends under that tree. Beautiful meditation. He created that. He wrote that composition based on how he would interact with Lord Krishna in his Rupa Dhyan. Okay, that came from Shankaracharya ji as well. I see a few hands raised. Yes, any questions? I can take those before we proceed further.
Yes, Samji. Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji, why did Krishna order Lord Shiva to make people bahirmukh?
Because the concept has to be built on incrementally. If you look at it, first of all, Vedas, Buddha negated all the Vedas because they were being misused. So he said, forget Vedas. After that, the Vedas had to be reintroduced, but incrementally. Simply, you cannot get into the doctorate message. So he introduced Vedas. Then came the Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, who introduced the duality, the Krishna aspect of it as well. So then, that is how incrementally the message is built. So the masters, they come from time to time. Whatever you are ready for, they will give you that message. Because what masters tell you is not what they actually know. They will tell you what is appropriate for the Desh, Kal, Niyam, and audience around that time. And they build it.
Yeah. Okay. Is there going to be more philosophies in future? Will they come?
Everything has been covered.
Okay.
All done. This covers every aspect of God now. It is absolutely nothing more to be known if you look at it from that standpoint, right? Bhagavatam covers everything. How many masters have actually come and given Bhashya and Bhagavatam? Not many. And Bhagavatam covers all these concepts about God. Okay. So I spoke a bit about Shankaracharya, this aspect. So now let's get into some more questions. That's where we can have a bit of more discussion. Now, a few more questions. Why does it matter to me? Okay, all that is fine. You're telling me that there is a bheda-abheda sambandh with God. We are a drop in the ocean, and that yet we are not quantitatively or qualitatively same as God. Let's look at it a little more. Now, Jnani, for them, the one of the another vakya is Soham, I am that. Soham, that means I am that. This also you will come across. Bhakt will say Soham is fine, but let me put da before that. Da Soham. Okay, Gyanis will come back again and they will say Sada Soham. always Soham, always I'm that. And then the Bhakt will come and say, Dasa Dasoham, I am the servant of God, servant. Okay, that continues. And then, furthermore, what happens is it can fuel false pride. You are God. Okay, what kind of a, it is one of the most absurd and atrocious concepts on the path of spirituality. Okay, it just would not make sense at all. I am God. It will only fuel pride, can fuel pride. Okay, for people who start understanding it in context, it may bring them to humility, but it's actually a concept that can fuel pride in you. The other thing will bring more closer to humility. And end of the day, we spoke, right, that God and our relationship is like the constitutional position of a hand with stomach. So our constitutional position is that to serve. And this Bhakti path actually explains you that and builds the foundational or the fundamental blocks. Why is it important to me? It's important because the way you approach will define the sanskars you build, which will define the road that you would take, and it would define what you end up achieving as well. Now, somebody will say, if I become graduate, that's good enough. Sure, it's good enough, but if whether you graduate from a NIT, whether you graduate from an IIT, whether you graduate from a Stanford, whether you graduate from an MIT, it still makes a lot of difference, right? So really depends on how you graduate and where you graduate from. So the sooner we build those sanskar, the less unlearning we'll have to do down the line, because finally even Jnani has to do Sharanagat. And rare Jnani, if he has ever had bhakti sanskars, would come across a Rasik saint and then he will get Krishna bhakti. Otherwise, it will not even happen. Then the aim on this path is moksha, dukh nivritti. And aim on this path is serving God is the goal. And God is Vibhu. Other thing we say is God, we are Satchidanand as God. We are not. God is Vibhu. Vibhu Sat, Vibhu Chit, Vibhu Anand. All knowing, all powerful, and all bliss. We through our experience know we are Anu Sat, Anu Chit, Anu Anand. We are not Satchidanand. When we become God realized, then we become. We have the potential to become God-like. We are not God. Okay, this concept just firmly ingrain it in your mind. Okay, this concept can confuse you and will keep coming in your life because Vedantic philosophy is followed by people. They themselves don't understand it, but they end up confusing people around. And it can confuse you so much that you will forget what you're trying to do and what you're doing is fine or not. So just get that impediment sorted out in your head. It will really help. Now, there are masters who come from time to time who are given a particular seva around that, right? For example, Ramakrishna Paramhans, he used to worship Kali Devi, goddess. And yet he ordered his disciple Vivekanand to do the prachar or preach the path of Advaita. That was his seva. Only masters and God know why they are giving a particular seva to particular. They only know that. But if you look at it in entirety, the concept is we are not God. And the goal is to serve God. And in serving, like Saint Francisco also said, it's in dying, in that little dying of yours, you are born to eternity. So it's actually in giving you get, and in end of the day, we are Nityadas or eternal servants of God. That is our ultimate gain. And moksha is called Brahmanand. And when you serve God, what you get is Premanand. Okay, Brahmanand and Premanand, if you look at the difference, Brahmanand is not an ordinary bliss. It is also a spiritual bliss, moksha. However, it is insipid in front of Premanand. I've explained this concept. When you actually worship God's personal form, that Premanand, if you taste even a trace of it, just a trace of it, that entire infinite ocean of Brahmanand you will give up. That is how it is compared. If you can only imagine what's the possibility there. We'll have a deep session on moksha and Premanand also. The other thing is God is Vibhu and God is Mayadhish. Maya cannot overcome him. Okay. Now, because the fact Maya has overcome us, that means we are Anu. We are not Vibhu. We are Anusit, Anuchit, Anu Anand. And we are Mayadhi. We are not Mayadhish. Okay, that is another difference.
Nitinji, there is a question just related to what you spoke to just now. Someone has asked, Oh, okay. Sandhya ji has asked, is it possible to get overpowered by Maya even after God realization?
No. Answer is a flat no. Okay, once it's like once you become a puri, you cannot become atta back again. Right? Puri, can you transform a puri back into an atta? No, you cannot.
No.
God realization means you are a done deal. Otherwise, it will become very whimsical. What's the point in becoming God realized? Yeah, I can again come back into Maya. No, that's not the case. Now, if you consider yourself God, like a Gyani says, Aham Brahmosmi, then ask Mr. Aham Brahmosmi, what made you come under the influence of Maya to begin with? Can you show your cosmic form? We can show our cosmic form, material cosmic form, when we get angry to people around. But we don't possess a cosmic form. If you are God, why don't you show me your cosmic form? And if you have come under illusion, that means illusion is more powerful than you. If illusion is more powerful than you, that means you are defying the very definition of God being all powerful. We don't have the qualities of God. We are Anu, God is Vibhu. We are Mayadhin, God is Mayadhish. Yes, we are divine, you are divine. Drop, wave, fine. But when somebody says we are same as God in qualities, all, it is born out of ignorance and confusion, nothing more. Next time you come across that, simply discard that, because it will just plant a seed in your mind, which will eventually start becoming demon, and then it will not take us very far on this path. It's very important.
Pragya ji wanted to add something to
Sure.
it, Nitin ji. Yeah. She has mentioned that, just wanted to add that Maharaj ji says, if Gyani talks, I am Brahma, he is referring to the soul and not the Jivatma.
So Aham Brahmosmi means it's a soul. We are also divine. To that extent, it's right. And the same Upanishad, it's part of that. Maharaj is actually quoted. I've forgotten that. Same Upanishad talks about the bheda-abheda sambandh, but it is selectively one part is picked up by a Gyani, and they keep on repeating the same statement. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmosmi. It has to be looked at in perspective. The bheda-abheda sambandh has to be understood, and we are das of God. We are not God. And we have looked at different examples. People say, no, there is only one entity, one object. How there are no multiple entities? Yes, that's correct. But yet there is a difference. God's energies, it's like we hear the concept of unity in diversity, right? Here, let's understand, in God's case, there is diversity in unity. Okay. Diversity in unity in the sense, you see so many forms of God, planetary expansions, Mother Durga, Radha. So there is diversity, and yet there is unity because it's the same. Similarly, God's energies has diversity. They are God's energies, but at the same time, their manifestation, the attributes, properties, qualities, they vary. Although it is the same one entity called God. Hope this clarifies. Any questions, I can take that.
Yeah. Ramya ji has said that I have heard God is Sindhu, we are Bindu.
Yeah, very true. God is Sindhu, we are Bindu. Very nice.
I see a couple of hand raised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Padmaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I would not even try to put like the spiritual words, but just to break it down, we have, like, if you just take a leaf, right, or anything that you take, there is the physical properties to that leaf, there are chemical properties to this leaf, and there are different kind of properties which are assigned to that particular leaf. And then if you independently look at those physical properties, even science also, science is the source, right? If we break it down on a materialistic level, there is science, right? There is physical sciences, there is life sciences. So the science is the root. But the different forms of the root, if you take it, if you're only studying the physical sciences, then you'll be only studying the physical properties of it. If you're only studying the chemical properties, right, you're only studying, but if you're studying biology, you're studying the life sciences, but they all belong to this big, huge thing, which is science. So that is like one way to see that. And the nail and the hair picture that Nitinji has showed, right? The root, even though the extension of the root is the hair and the nail, but those will be like physical things that we take away, but then the root will always remain the same. But we cannot say the root is the nail. We cannot say the root is the hair, right? We can only say hair is hair and nail is nail, but we can never say that the roots from where the hair grows or the nail goes, that we cannot say the root is the hair, right? It grows from it. and it takes its own form and shape and characters and futures. How you want to design it, it's externally how you design it. The same thing with the energy, right? Plants take the sunlight, which is the chemical form of the energy, but then it makes the food, the glucose, and we eat the food and we transform that into another form of energy, which is ATP. But ATP is not the light energy, it is a chemical energy. So there is a transformation of that energy which is happening. That's the way that I broke it. There are different forms of energy, and we are not the core part of, I'm not using the right words, I cannot use the words, but just to try to break it down, the forms of energy, all source is God, but the form of energy that we are is different, and we don't have the same attributes, but we are part, but not the same attributes. And the last thing was, I'm daring to do something which I never done. If you allow, Bhajagovindam is like one of my favorite, like heart-touching thing. Can I sing like 3 lines?
Yeah, sure. Bhajagovindam. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukhin Karane, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukhin Karane. Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for singing that out. It's a beautiful, beautiful composition by Shankaracharya ji. I've heard it so many times and so beautifully recited it. Other aspect I wanted to touch upon today was this merging concept, right? Let's just understand this merging concept. Merged with God, right? There are different kind of mokshas. Of course, we'll get into the technicalities of those. But then this merging business, right? In bhakti, you reject it. If somebody tells you, you want to enjoy Rasgulla or you want to become Rasgulla, which one would you prefer? Anybody? Any choices?
Enjoy
Yes,
Rasgulla. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, Rahul ji, go ahead.
Rahul.
I think enjoy the Rasgulla.
Yeah. So becoming Rasgulla is like na rahega baans, na bajegi bansuri, right? So this merging business is moksha business. Okay. That is also a self-seeking desire. So they say it's not an ordinary Rasgulla, of course. It's like enjoying honey like a honeybee or becoming honey itself. Right? It's a very superior quality of honey, of course. So in seva and devotion, Premanand is enjoying and relishing the bliss of God. You don't end up becoming the same itself. It is said, it is like the Pishachini. In fact, it's a blemish on the path of devotion if you think about moksha. Mukti, you reject it. You don't even look at it. It's like a vegetarian would look at fish. Don't even come near me. Forget about worldly enjoyments. That is one part of it. We have to reject that. But even moksha is rejected. That's when you enter the realms of depths of bhakti. God's personal association does not come free of cost. And the price tag for that is you would reject all the material, what do you call, desires, of course, attractions, as well as the spiritual desire of moksha. God says, dharma, karam, arth, moksha. Give up all these 4 things. And now let's start. Now we are talking bhakti. Okay, so this merging business next time comes. Okay, don't get confused with that. Merged with God. People feel very excited about merged with God. Merged with what? Merged with God. I mean, that is fine. But you actually deprived yourself of something that you were capable of getting much higher than that. Okay, so merging with God, I am God, all these concepts laid to rest. Very confusing for people. And they will continue to confuse. I'm telling you, we had a good discussion. We'll have it multiple times, but it will still confuse people. They will still talk the same thing. They will talk about getting merged with God. They'll talk about we are God. And you will keep on getting bombarded with these messages from time to time. But it's important the foundation is solid and you have to look at it in perspective. Otherwise, it will start messing around with your mind. And I have struggled with it. That's why I'm telling you through my experience. Um, speak with Swamiji and he can clear these doubts much better, of course. But I have tried to explain it as simple words as possibly could, with some simple examples just to illustrate some of these points. Yes, let's take a few more hands, and please fill out the feedback tracker. Let me know what resonated with you, what worked out well or not, because this is a topic, as I always say, is very close to my heart. And anytime this happens, okay, I feel the compulsion to say something about it because I've invested a lot of time on this because of the confusions I had. Yes, let's hear.
I posted a feedback tracker. Please fill in your comments, feedback in the feedback tracker. I see a couple of hand raised, Nitinji. So
Yes,
I'll
please.
take Kumarji.
And quick announcements, the yoga festival that is coming up, please do check it out. Sound therapy and a lot of interesting things that will be on offer. It is only becoming bigger and better by every year. The scale as well as the quality, you'll be really blown away. So please do check it out. And the family camp, do register for it. And I think Swamiji's US tour is going on. If you get an opportunity to meet him in person, do avail that. So these are some of the things I wanted to talk about. Plus weekly satsangs on Sundays. If you get an opportunity, do immerse yourself in the nectar of bhajans, beautiful bhajans that happen, that helps us continue on this path and keeps our motivation, inspiration going as well. That's satsang. Yes.
Thank you so much, Nitinji, for the announcements. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to speak under, but I wanted to. I said, okay, let's continue because people will have questions around this topic. So really quickly covered that.
Okay, Radhe Radhe.
Yes.
After Padmaji's comments, the next comment should always be mine because.
Sure.
Yeah, so I want to start.
You've done a pact or a negotiation around that, but please go ahead.
Yeah, something like that, right? Because she talks a lot of intellectual stuff, and I want to make it. I want to dumb it down. So one thing is, first thing I want to start out with is gulab jamuns and rasgullas don't interest me anymore.
Okay,
of course, thanks to my health.
Very nice.
Thanks to my health, and I just had a salad for dinner, and then you talk about puris, and suddenly this Maya came over me like, "Where is the puri? Where's the puri?" You know. So really, it was. You know, like I got really tempted, like, you know, can I get some puri, which I have not had for like more than 3 years now. So because of wheat as well as the oil in it, but suddenly I got, so that's how powerful the Maya is, right?
Yeah.
Going to that. So I have also dabbled, but very shallowly in Vedanta. Now, very strangely or funnily, in the yoga festival, one of the speakers on the very first day, I think, is Swami Sarvapriyanandaji.
Sarvapriyananda. He's a Vedantic scholar.
He is a Vedantic scholar.
Beautiful the way he speaks. Yes, I know, and I've heard him.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
I've heard, just like I look at Swamiji with amazement, here is another guy, of course, Sister Shivani Ji is another one, but I'm like, what? This person, what he's saying is true, right? So you will become almost a Vedantist if you hear Sarvapriyanandaji, right?
Yep.
And again, as you said, I got confused with that as well.
I don't get, that is the beauty of thing. I have explored all of that and I don't no longer get experience. I just understand where they're coming from and say thank you very much for the stature that they have, of course, you know, there. But then when you look at it holistically, it's like thanks, but no thanks. I'm so glad I don't have a baggage in my head anymore that I have to clear off later down. So you stay focused around that. But yes, I understand what you're trying to say here.
So what I did was, you know, like that really impressed me. Of course, you know, this was time when I had this was before pre-pandemic, right? Suddenly I got hooked onto Swami Sarvapriyananda. They even call him Junior Vivekananda very fondly.
The head of Vedantic Society here in US.
US. Fantastic speaker. Of course, he's going to be there in the yoga this one. Now, what, you know, like the more and more I think about this, you know, it's not, I don't think it is too conflicting, but we have to see which level we are on or in. That's where I saw, you know, like I wanted to do more of that because, you know, that also gave me a lot of internal happiness. But I could not be there. I could not be there all the time, right? So where was I going wrong? And that's why I think many of the saints, even, people, of course, Shankara, who is the main Vedantic, this one, right? He himself talks about Bhaju Govindam, and he even wrote a treatise on Vishnu Sahasranamam, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And Bhaju Govindam, having said that, please listen to M.S. Subbulakshmi's this one on that. And also Rajaji has given a small talk, like for a couple of minutes before that. It's fantastic. So what I'm trying to say is, at this time in the Kali Yuga, with all this Maya around us, and we are not able to really get out of it, I think we got to start with bhakti. There is no doubt about it. At this time, probably Nitinji, I think you have gotten that clarity, which I have not, that other things are not for us, or what it is. Probably we'll have more discussions later on that. But I think there is, there are steps here, ladders here. And so to be godlike takes a lot. We have so much impurities in us, so much of Maya around us, that we are not there anywhere. For that, we truly need God's help to climb that ladder.
Very true. In the age of Kali, you rightly pointed out. So by the way, coming back to Puri, you can have Adhi Puri, okay, maybe if not the full Puri. In the age of Kali, it's very clearly stated, Harinam Sankirtan is the only way to go. Okay? This Gyanmarg and all that stuff is good. It sounds very appealing, very attractive as well. However, having said that, the ABC of Gyanmarg starts when you are at the advanced stage of renunciation. Also, it is capped. Finally, you have to surrender, right? And if you are not at the advanced stage of renunciation or situated at the platform of the soul, this marg will not take you very far in the age of Kali. We are not intellectually there to actually keep progressing. So bhakti is where you get grace of God. Why to complicate things when grace is available as a free fund, right? Plus bhakti is the topmost prize as well. Bhakti is not for illiterates. Bhakti is for most intelligent people, I would say. I used to think my nani, dadi, mom, they are like, they don't have sense. They just keep on doing all this stuff because intellectually probably, they don't want to think much. But that is the most smartest thing. If we can get to that stage, nothing like it. So,
exactly. I think
it seems very appealing, very intellectually stimulating. But in the age of Kali, not a recommended path. Okay.
Thanks, Radhe.
Good, but not good enough. And then the urge and the purge, that will continue in your life. That urges and those purges that you want to do will continue in your life. You'll say, I got this urge and now I need to purge, right? Until you attach your mind to all pure God, your mind will not get cleansed. You are sitting in a samadhi, wow, what a wonderful experience I'm having, this, that. The moment you are back, your mind is still there, dirty. Temporarily, you have cured the symptom. But if you're not attached it to God, you cannot clean it. It's a very simple formula. No way to clean our mind until we are attaching it to pure. Yes, that experience, bliss that you feel because you are able to concentrate and focus during that time, doing that, doing your kriya or kundalini or whatever is fine. But your mind will still be the same. It cannot cleanse itself unless you are attaching it to the pure. Very simple principle. Even a jnani has to surrender to God finally. How? Why? Because on the self-effort alone, defeating Maya is as good as defeating God. Nobody can do that. You have to go to the Maya Dhish in order to defeat Maya. So Jnani finally, when they will reach the advanced stage and they'll come in contact with the Guru, then they will say, hey, by the way, I had to surrender to God. And then they will. So in Bhakti, the beauty is you start building those sanskars right from the word go. Why to take your pride to such a level and then get into a path? But then yes, depending upon the practice we have done in the past lifetimes, there will be a propensity to get attracted to a path, and that is fine too. But we're just talking it holistically today. Yes, let's hear.
Yes, Rahulji, Radhe Radhe.
Yes,
Radhe Radhe. I think in the beginning of Bhagavatam, when it starts, it says Kaitav Rahit Bhagavatam. That means 4 Kaitav, that is what they are telling. Dharma, Arth, Kam and Moksha.
Very true.
And when we see Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he has mentioned that Moksha is that Kaitav Pradhan. So everybody has tried to reject that or tell them, okay, this is not our ultimate goal.
Very true. Very true.
And the other thing which Maharaj Ji has beautifully written in the Bhakti Shatak, जीव माया दो ही शक्ति हैं, शक्तिमान भगवान, शक्तिहीन भेदा अभेद भी शक्तिमान तेजान. That means the soul and Maya are both energies of God. Hence, they are both one with God and also different from God.
They are same and yet different. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, exactly. Exactly. It sums up everything. I'm telling you, if you start following Vedantic philosophy, I've asked so many questions to them and never got answers. Never got answers, satisfactory answers. It's confusing. And until I came across Maharajji's philosophy, and then everything started falling in place so beautifully, without any doubts. Yes, Pragyati, and then Sandhya.
Yes, Pragya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Nitin. Yeah, such a beautiful session, and so much of clarification and clarity that it comes. And yeah, definitely, and why not? निखिल दर्शन समन्वयाचार्य जगत गुरु कृपालु जी महाराज जी के शिष्य जो हैं हम लोग, so much of clarity, like, and yeah, seeing the age of Kali, it reminds me a line from Ramayana. कल युग एक नाम आधारा, सुमिर सुमिर नर उतर ही पारा, राम सिया राम.
We lost your audio, Pragyati, but I could. It was very feeble towards the end. But yeah, Ram Siya.
Okay, I'll repeat. I'll just change my.
We just, your voice is not at all audible. It's very feeble.
Just, yeah, maybe in the room it drops. Yeah, I was singing.
We lost. We are not able to hear you.
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's. So my voice is audible?
Now it's okay.
Now it is
Now it's okay.
Okay, I'll try again. कल युग एक नाम आधारा, सुमिर सुमिर नर उतर ही पारा, राम सिया राम सिया राम.
Okay, your voice is again gone. Sorry. But we got it, what you were saying.
I want to add one point from Swamiji's daily sadhana, which
You have to fix your audio, Pragyati. It's just not.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, let me check my connection.
Yes, please. And you can come back again. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Time Sandhya. I think Sandhya
Yeah.
was. And then we can take Sandhya.
Yes. Please go ahead, Sandhya.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. So this is regarding, so God, after God realization, I think the individual will not remain Maya Dhin anymore, right?
But of course, you have become Malamal. No Mayadhin, Panch Klesh, Panch Dosh, Tritab, everything is done.
So then isn't it reconciled with the Vedant philosophy? Like at that point?
No.
Okay.
If you have looked at moksha, then yes, if you are merged with God. If you have gone through the devotion path, then that separation would still remain. You will be the Nitya Das. You are actually participating with God in his pastimes and serving him even after that. Okay. So going to Golok, going to Vaikunt, going to Saket can happen only in devotion path. Otherwise, you will be in Birja river, just lying down like you have become Rasgulla. That's about it. So moksha is the stepping stone to spirituality, lowest bliss. After that comes Vaikuntha bliss, where you see God as a king. After that comes the Dasya bliss, where you can touch his feet. After that comes the Sakhya bliss, where you can treat him like your friend. After that comes the Vatsalya bliss, and then the Madhurya. Those are not possible in moksha. You forfeit that opportunity. That is a technical difference.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. So the chit, actually, I'll tell you something. Okay, pay close attention. Gyanis, let's say they perfect their devotion that way. Okay, Kalyug, it's not possible. So Kalyug, it's impossible. Write it in words. Through Gyan Marg, it's impossible in Kalyug. Scriptures say that. But let's say Gyani, somebody does that, and they have that pride that my chit. So in Gyan, one of the moksha is chitta nivritti. This chit, right, is done deal. Your chit is gone. Because once you merge with God, your chit is done. Lord Krishna, big Gyanis, if they have had some bhakti sanskars, okay, people whose chit is gone, they have conquered their chit. He's able to give them the chit and then steal it. That is why he's called a chitta chor. But then only if he does mercy. That is how powerful his pull is. But only devotee in his personal form can enjoy that, not a Gyani. But some Gyani who might have had some bhakti sanskars for some reason in the past may get that opportunity. That is how powerful God's personal form and the Dvaita Rasa is. It's a deep concept for sure. But moksha is, you can say, the lowest level of bliss in God realization. People stop there. That's what they crave for. After that comes the personal form of God's, all those blisses, starting with Vaikuntha, starting with Shanta Bhav all the way up to Madhurya Bhav. And within Madhurya Bhav, so many levels again. They are all God realized. They are enjoying God's bliss. They are not obligated to come back, and they are beyond Maya. All that has already happened. Yes.
I see Pragyaji's hand raised.
Yes, Pragyaji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, am I audible?
Yes.
You have made a successful comeback.
Okay, yeah, I was just quoting this line from Ramayana. Kal yug ek naam andhara, sumir sumir nare utrahi para, Ram Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Beautiful.
I also wanted to add that I had come across in Swamiji's daily sadhana lessons. Thank you, Pallaviji. So what Maharajji has added to it, कि सिर्फ नाम सुमिरन से नहीं काम चलेगा. Like chantings is so prevalent, so like intrinsic in India. Everywhere 1 crore chanting. तो महाराज जी कहते हैं कि ठीक है, हाथ कंगन को आरसी क्या, अगर 1 crore chanting से हो जाता है भगवत प्राप्ति, then do it, fix a time and do it. But it doesn't happen. So Swamiji has very beautifully stated in bullet points in that in daily sadhana, कि while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought the chantings, he made it very prevalent, and Maharaj ji has put logic to it. कि चैंटिंग्स के साथ क्या करना है, चैंटिंग्स के साथ मन को अटैच करना है भगवान से. एंड देन एज वी वर टॉकिंग, लाइक नो मैटर व्हाट प्रैक्टिस वी डू, till we attach our mind to God and bathe ourselves and all our vrittis and drown ourselves in love or separation for God, हमारा purification नहीं होगा heart का, और वो भक्ति नहीं जागेगी, तो हम progress नहीं करेंगे. And Swamiji has also warned literally in his 7 divine laws for to awaken your best self of intellectual fallacies that, you know, engulfs the mind. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yes, great point.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Bhakti is the key. Bhakti is the one before all the zeros. If that is missing, no matter what you keep on adding, would not really matter. That one which will count before the zeros is the bhakti, the devotion aspect of it. Okay, let's see. Few more hands are raised, so we can take real quick. Good discussion.
Yeah. Yes, Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Nitin. So I don't know if I can ask these questions or not, but I'm daring.
Sure.
If like people have the tendency to get attracted to Advaita based upon the preachers like Swami Vivekananda or someone who's whom you meant, like someone mentioned, why is Swamiji quoting their quotes? Why is he?
It's okay. That's okay. See, that's okay. It is a journey, right? I mean, it's not like you are wrong or you are less, right? It's just about you understand the entirety and make your choice. Even Lord Krishna, after telling Arjuna everything, he's not saying, I'm telling you, so do it. Right? Like we do in this world, I'm telling you, don't you understand and listen to me? Lord Krishna so beautifully says, now that I have armed you with this knowledge, you do as you please using your brain, intellect. So our job is to lay out the facts in front of you, and then we make a choice which one we want to go with. Yeah, it's fine. If we want to do the Advaita and that appeals to us more, go for it. It's our choice, end of the day, right? But knowledge has to be rock solid. Knowledge cannot be wishy-washy. Hey, maybe this, maybe that. And then take a decision which appeals to you and which comes naturally to you. Or if you are brave enough to transcend your natural propensities around it. Nobody's telling you even everything is, I mean, if you listen to Advaita philosophy, obviously they are talking sense, but the fundamentals change on how you approach it. So you take the proper knowledge and do what is beneficial for you. Right. So that is the whole idea.
And second one is, looks like there are, I mean, in our participants also there are Vedantists, Advaita more inclined. They say they are doing Roop Dhyan, but still, why are they stuck?
Yeah, okay, so they don't, basically, if you ask me honestly, it is like sitting, not even sitting on the fence, not having absolute answers in their head. So most of the Vedantis I have met, at least personally, they are neither here nor there. So they're following the devotion path, but in their arguments they are Dvaitis. So they are doing both, basically a mixed hybrid, something of that sort. What you believe in is Advait, but what they are doing is Dvait. So if you ask them questions, they are themselves not clear what they are doing. Okay, so you can see it in their responses. They will talk about Advait, but what they're practicing is Dvait. So it's confusing for them also in their head. Most of the Advaitis you will come across like that. Okay, they are doing Advait, but they think they are Advaiti, and then the philosophy is all mixed up, jumbled up in their head. And that is why I'm saying it's very important to have the correct knowledge, right foundation around it.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've had long enough association and deep enough association to understand this concept, how confusion can play in their mind. They will themselves contradict in their statements. Okay, after a while, that is one of the symptoms of being a partial Advaiti, where you don't understand it and you end up contradicting yourself time and again.
Okay. Padma ji has mentioned in the chat, a strong woman works out every day to keep her body in shape, but a woman of strength kneels in prayer to keep her soul in shape.
Wow.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful expression, Padma ji.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay. Couple of other hands.
Yeah. Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, my question was actually to Pragya ji regarding the chanting. So, like, I agree that while chanting and all, I've not been able to keep my mind focused. It's like very rare, or sometimes it is there. But if that is the case, why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu insist so much on chanting? Or was it only for that time? Because it's not like very far ago, it was just 500 years ago or something. Like, why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave so much importance to chanting?
Yeah, Harinam Sankirtan. Yeah, Pragya, maybe you can take that question if you want. I'll add later on. Please go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Ramya ji. So, chanting is very, very powerful. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought this chanting, made it very popular. So he assumed, he being like, a saint of God, so he assumed that people will automatically take their mind to it and not just resort to the physical part of it. कि बस अगर हम beads लेकर कर रहे हैं और 101 बार करना है, so many times our mind goes कि counting पूरा हुआ कि नहीं, अगर सॉरी 108 बार, और वो 108 बार को अगर 1000 टाइम्स करना है तो many times our mind goes कि वो count पूरा हुआ कि नहीं. So where the line that what I understand is, and which really makes a difference in our chanting, is attaching our mind to God. That is the logic that Maharaji has added to it. He has not said that chanting is bad or anything. Chanting is to Ramayana and all the scriptures have highlighted it. So Maharaji has added or highlighted one point that with each chanting, नाम लेने के पहले राधा, नाम लेने के पहले राधा जी को अपने सामने मानस पटल पे बिठाओ. First bring God in your thought and then take the name of God. That is what Maharaji has highlighted. And yeah, attaching the mind. अगर आप राम बोल रहे हैं तो राम should not be any XYZ, it should be Lord Ram. अगर राधे बोल रहे हैं तो it should not be any like Radhe your daughter or Radhe any your friend, it should be Radha Rani, and that we have to bring that image and attach our mind and develop our love. So that is then the chantings makes a real difference.
True. Or just to add on to that.
Yeah, please, Nitin.
The avatars happen, right? They happen for an express purpose. Right? So the devotees around that time that he was surrounded with, right, again depends on their quality as well. So if they do Harinam Sankirtan, that is but assumed that they would take their mind, right? Now, our intellectual capacity right now, how it is. So Maharaj Ji, when he started, even he used to do just Kirtans only. Tattva Gyan he started doing much later, right? He would simply come and initially do the bhajan, sankirtan, all that. But not all the devotees are at that level. They need Gyan and the science behind that chanting as well, which he started disclosing as he went along. So maybe around that time, people were of that quality who could take their mind to God just by chanting alone, but not anymore, right? And that is where I reiterated or laid a lot of emphasis on that aspect. And he was one of the only Jagat Gurus probably who's spoken at length about mind aspect of it, because our minds are the ones which don't cooperate, which are trouble us in the age of Kali right now. Mind, intellect, and all that stuff. And if you look at Swamiji, he has written so many books around it. Right? So that is a key message right now. And but the smaran and the remembrance and bringing God into the fold is the key aspect, not just the mechanical recitation of chanting alone. Yes.
Beautifully answered. Yeah. Asha ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yes, Asha ji. Then
Asha ji. Yes, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Asha ji, and then can take Shruti.
I got unmuted. I'm not Asha
No,
ji, but I
think
can
Asha
talk.
ji has also.
Okay, okay, no
Sorry,
problem.
I unmuted.
No,
No problem.
Just carry on. Who want to speak?
Go ahead,
first?
go ahead, Asha ji.
I can wait.
Please go ahead, Radhe Radhe.
I can wait if anybody wants to speak first.
Go ahead, Asha ji, please.
Okay. Just I wanted to add the two examples of our Bhakta Narsi Mehta. He sang that in his bhajan. Hari na jan to mukti na mage, mage fari fari avatar. वो मुक्ति से अलग वो बार बार जन्म लेने को मांगते हैं ईश्वर से कि क्यों मैं मुक्ति मांगू, मैं तो हर जन्म में आपकी भक्ति करना चाहता हूँ. और दूसरा मीराबाई का है कि एक भजन में उन्होंने कहा है जैसा दास्य भाव कि गिरधारी मुने चाकर राखो चाकर राखो चाकर राखो, चाकर रहसू बाग लगासू नित उठ दर्शन पासू. वो कह रही है कि मुझे अपने सर्वेंट का काम दे दीजिए और आपके बाग में मैं माली का काम करूंगी, नित बाग लगाऊंगी और आप जब उठकर बालकनी में झरोखे में आएंगे तो हम आपका नित्य दर्शन करेंगे सुबह सुबह जब मैं बाग में काम कर रही होंगी. तो सो मधुर भाव she has explained in her bhajan. Thank you.
No, beautiful, very true. That is the sentiments that devotees harbor actually. They want to serve God, and that is their goal actually. Nitya Das we are anyways, and they harbor those sentiments so strongly, and they're anyway beyond Maya, right? After you become saint, it doesn't matter where you are, and it is such a beautiful journey that you don't even care about the destination at that point. That is the beauty of.
Can't hear you, Nitinji.
Am I not audible?
No,
yeah, little
please
bit
repeat.
volume is
Now,
low,
now,
Nitinji. You can
now,
increase the volume.
now audible. Please
Okay.
repeat the answer.
No, I said, yeah, that is the sentiments of devotees. They always want to serve God. And when they get the divine love of God, the journey becomes so enjoyable that nothing else matters at that point.
Yes. Yes.
Very true. Beautiful point. Thank you so much for sharing that.
And one last little, if I am not wrong, it is Aham Brahmasmi. It's maybe your slip of tongue.
Yeah,
not
Brahmasmi. Aham
Brahmosmi.
Brahmasmi, right? That's right.
Yes. No, I may be wrong.
No,
Sorry for
right.
it.
No, you're right. Aham Brahmasmi. Very true.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Asha ji. Shruti ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji, Radhe Radhe Nitin.
Radhe Radhe
Nitin, how can you explain bhakti like in like one line or just a summary? What is bhakti?
Okay, two things you can always remember when we talk about bhakti. Bhakti actually comes from a Sanskrit word bhaj, that means to serve. Okay, and secondly, vibhakti, right? Vibhakti and bhakti. Vibhakti is dissociation and bhakti is association. So bhakti is basically having a union with God, where you are always attached your mind to God with a desire to serve Him. That's all bhakti is. And you keep on deepening that sentiment. Love for God, desire to serve God, and be with God. All go hand in hand, basically.
Desire to be with God, and you attach your mind to God.
If I were to simplify it, it's like you simply keep on deepening your love for God. That is what bhakti is. Okay, let's not think too many things. Just develop intense desire to love God. Keep giving yourself reason and right knowledge. That is all bhakti is. Love for God is bhakti. Okay, surrender will automatically come. When you love somebody, surrender will come. When you love somebody, serving will come. So develop love for God is bhakti. If I were to just put it in a simple line.
So how do you develop love for God? Like
by knowing about
first
God.
step is knowledge. Yeah. Janu bina na hoye priti bina priti.
Wow. I started
Right.
putting Ramayana as well. Wonderful. Very true. Knowledge. And then how did you develop love for your kids? How did you develop love for your relatives? Because you think they are important, they are going to give me happiness, they will serve my interest, right? Same process we apply in the divine realm as well. Knowledge, first gain knowledge, proper knowledge, and then start giving yourself, he is my true nati, true sambandhi. When these people will leave me, when I have to depart this world, only God will accompany me. And he's my nati across lifetimes. He has given me so many grace. He gives me opportunities. I wake up every day. He's given me my daughter, people whom I love. Give yourself reasons. Have an attitude of gratitude. Love will automatically start coming in.
Beautiful points, Nitinji. I saw Smita ji's hand raised, but now I don't see that.
Yes,
Smita ji, are you here? I don't see her hand raised.
Okay,
oh yeah, she's there.
Yes, Smita ji.
Yes, Smita ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I wanted to just add one thing. Somebody asked about chanting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kirtan, not kirtan, chanting, something about chanting. That is for ekagrata. I mean, when you are a beginner in the devotional path, for getting, I mean, ekagrata, your focus towards God, your focus to one-minded focus towards the prayer and ignoring everything around you, the noise, everything. That's why they make you start with the chanting, and with chanting you get that, I mean, slowly, gradually, when you are doing every day regularly, in that same time you get that focus developed within you.
Great point. Very true. That focus will come and you'll start reaping the benefits. Your own experience will corroborate that yes, something different is happening. Just try it out. We did a week challenge last year. A lot of people signed up for it and they actually started doing it. Take up once in a while. It's like that detox we do, right? Take up mind detox by a week-long challenge that I'm going to spend my time thinking, reciting God's name and thinking about Him throughout the week as frequently and as much as I possibly can, and see what happens. Great.
Yes, that's the test you had given for 1 week, doing 108 times Hare Rama name.
Yeah. So we can do it more often. We don't have to limit it to 1 week. Let's make it a practice.
Right.
Keep remembering God as well, and I would encourage participants to come forward and share their experiences. Trust me, magical things will start happening inside you when you start doing that. God's name. That is how powerful it is. All right, last two, and then we will wrap it up. I know we are over time again, but let's quickly wrap up our conversation. I hope that was.
Yes, Padmaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Regarding the God's name, right? When particularly you do this practice where you're actually connecting with God, with God's name, you are truly the nature and the attributes of the God. When you're dwelling upon the nature and the attribute, because God's names is describing, the in our limited capacity, all the qualities, the unlimited. There is no number, right? We cannot. So when you're doing that kind of meditation or sadhana, that you are doing the names of the God, the nature and the attributes of the God, then it's not an expression of the language. It's just an experience of what you go through inside of you, the way that you're knowing God in your own way, and you knowing what is the truth. God is the truth, and you from internally you would get to know the truth, and then it makes you feel like that you have this privilege of saying he's mine, I'm yours and you're mine. So you come to that state where you take the pride and capacity and authority to say, you know what, you belong to me, I actually belong to you.
True. That is the stage we have to reach, that you alone are mine. You know, that authority and that appreciation of that truth is the stage we need to reach, because that is a fact actually. We just have to acknowledge the fact and deepen that understanding. God is there always, and he's our true Nati. Scriptures are telling us, right? He's our true Sambandhi. And he accompanies us even when we become a polar bear or a donkey. Okay, nobody does. So that is how deep relationship we have with God. Right. All right. The last one. And then...
The last one is Kumarji. Radhe Radhe, please go.
Okay. Yeah, it was Padmaji. Now it has to be Kumarji. Yeah. So chanting and sloka recitation, I think it is like meditation, or it is meditation, I would say. And it really takes your mind to God and attaches it to him in a way probably very few things else does. For example, Ram Nam, right? I don't know, there is something special to it. There's some magic to it. And I would just, recommend anyone to start with that. And this is actually, I had kind of not thought about it for some time, but just a couple of weeks back, my sister from Singapore, she said, hey, I started doing this. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So, and she says, she's kind of lazy like me, does not get up before 7 o'clock. Now she gets up at 4:30 and does this Ram Nam chanting. And she says, now I get up at the time, even without an alarm clock, and then do that. It keeps her in a sense of happiness throughout the day. What I would say is, like, when I was in school, we used to have a class called music class. Now, with all our great voices of different boys and girls, breaking voices and all those things, the teacher used to sing one line and we used to sing the other line. Then we come to this particular song, or this one. It's called, I don't know whether you folks have heard it, Prema Mudita Manase Kaho Ram Ram Ram. When we do that, we are singing along with the teacher. And is it just me that I'm feeling so happy? Looks like the whole class is feeling happy about it. So there is something very special about Sri Ramji. Now, the other thing which I have seen is, who is a better bhakt than Lord Hanumanji, right? Hanuman Chalisa, you should listen to that. That is the first shloka which I heard without knowing the meaning, which brought tears to my eyes. And once I read it, I'm like even more amazed, right? If you see in Ramayana, it's like Rama going through this turmoil. When I was small, I used to hear this story from my mother, and Hanumanji comes like a hero, right? He's the I don't want to defame him by saying Amitabh Bachchan, but when he comes into the scene, things just change. It's just a fairy tale of the story just changes to happiness and what can you call, looking forward to all positivity, right? I think people should read Sundarkand at least once, and you'll read it again and again. Fantastic. If Ramayana is about Ram, the Sundarkand is about Hanuman, right? How he kind of pulls the whole drama up just by his devotion. So similarly, Vishnu Sahasranam that I chant, of course, I need the help of a book. I've not memorized it well enough. That again gives me so much pleasure. One song which I've heard, one shloka which I heard is Sri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajamana if you have heard that, that is fantastic. When I hear that, I go into that momentary bliss there itself. So there's something to chanting. I thought, like in between, I had missed that part, and I'm slowly realizing, and I want to say Kumar calling Kumar, right? Hey, wake up, do this stuff. So I think there's something to it, and I just wanted to share that. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, very nice, very true. I can see, a red carpet being laid for you in Saket Lok. So the devotion that you carry for Lord Ram. But yeah, Ramayana is beautiful, and it actually brings tears to people's eyes. I remember we did an RKT Ram Leela here, and a lot of people who were sitting in front, they had tears in their eyes. Okay, not tears of tears because our act was so bad, but tears of devotion. They were like, it was very, very touching, and people have that. Ramayana is so heart touching. I saw the old Ramayana not too long ago, and I could appreciate it even more. So beautifully made. I think those characters were born to play that role. Arun Govil's smile. When you think of Ram, that guy comes, right? Ramayana is so beautiful.
They used to stop trains in India. The trains which are going from one place to the other, they used to stop them at stations so that people can watch the Ramayana on the station's TV. That was how amazing it was. And I remember I was like, the Mahabharata, I was slightly not as much. It was very well done as well. But Ramayana, even though technically not as sound, but the bhav itself is so much that it just pulls you in. And they also say, like whenever there's a Ram Katha, there's a seat for Hanuman there. And he says he comes, he just comes there. He just has to. If you say Ram, Hanuman comes along with. If you say Hanuman, Ram comes along with.
Ramayana, during the COVID times, it broke the records for the most watched
again. Yeah,
it broke the record of Game of Thrones, by the way.
wow.
That was the second most watched. But Ramayana, just look at the impact. Right? Even after so many years, so much of appeal, that is the power in God. So even God is popular even now, whether we know it.
Nitinji, recently I watched a couple of episodes of Ramayana, and I felt that, oh my God, amazingly, and I could understand the deep meanings of the dialogues, basically. I thought, oh my God, I never understood that before. Now I am understanding it better. So I felt that.
My favorite dialogue there was that when, okay, maybe I'll ask as a trivia question in one of the sessions. It will be an interesting one. When Ram is sweating while trying to pluck flowers, and Sita is wondering, this guy has come to win me in a swamvar, to lift Lord Shiva's dhanush, and who's sweating even while trying to pluck flowers. Okay, how is he going to do that? But that was beautiful, very vulnerable and very nice moment.
Yes.
And second was the sense of humor of Lord Ram. Only once in Ramayana it happened, and I loved it. And I've seen that scene multiple times. Okay, my wife knows that. I have a good laugh whenever I hear that. So Shurpanakha comes.
The Shurpanakha scene.
Yeah, she comes to Ram and she says something like that, lady like me should get married, but somebody like something like that. I don't remember that. Ram looks at her and he tries to be naughty. He said, okay, I am married. I have my wife here. Why don't you go try with him? He said,
Yes, I watched that episode recently.
yeah, go try with him. And then he says a very interesting dialogue. He says, Shurpanakha said, really? He said, yeah. Tum swachhand vichar ki swatantra nari ho. Go for it. And then rest is history, as we know, right? So, by the way, Shurpanakha, because she got attracted to Ram and God is merciful, right? The next Krishna avatar, he met her and she came as a kubja, hunchback lady, and he made her beautiful and married her. Okay, just because he couldn't do it in his Maryada Purushottam avatar when she came as Shurpanakha, he obliged her back in Krishna avatar. That is how it went. All right.
So, Padmaji has mentioned that next time she'll sing Ramchandra Kripalu Bhajamana.
Padmaji, you have raised the game for Kumarji. You are the cake and he's the icing on it. I don't know what he's going to do if you're going to sing now, okay?
I got to practice now then.
She said next time I'm going to sing.
Yeah, we'd love to hear that. You sing really well, and we love the Bhaj Govindam today. Okay, Surendraji, real quick, last one for the day. We had a pretty.
Yes. Oh no, I see Ajit Jain's hand, Ajit Ji's hand also.
Maybe you can speak together. I mean, I'll try to.
Yes. Is that for closing prayer?
Thank you, Nitin ji. I just wanted to recite Sur Bhakti. सुर की गति मैं क्या जानूं, एक भजन करना जानूं, अर्थ भजन का भी अति गहरा, उसको भी मैं क्या जानूं, हरि 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 करना जानूं.
Wonderful.
Bhakti is the top. I think nothing beyond bhakti. That's what I got the whole essence of today.
Very true. Bhakti is the topmost thing. There's nothing beyond bhakti. Very well said. And contrary to popular belief that bhakti is for illiterates, bhakti is for the most intelligent people. Okay, to get to the level of bhakti, that's the most smartest and the most intelligent and the most surest way of progressing towards God. That is how powerful bhakti is.
The logic Ram gave to Surupnakha that I am married. Why don't you look at Lakshman? Lakshman is also married. Where is the logic of it?
I'm saying Ram was being naughty at that moment. That is why I love that scene.
Yeah. Ashutosh ji has mentioned that one more episode about Vibhishan and Kumbhakaran talk in the battlefield is also very
lot of
interesting.
You should watch. Yeah. It's a beautiful serial, very well made.
Yeah.
You know, I used to love fights at that time and get bored, but now you can appreciate the depths and beauty of Ramayana for sure.
Yes.
All right, last.
Ajit ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, in one sentence, if you describe the Ramayana, it's a division of love, and Mahabharata is a division of land. This is what yesterday actually I saw one message on WhatsApp.
Okay.
I'm sorry, actually I joined the late in the group. I just wanted to know what mantra jap do you suggest in our JK yoga for the devotees?
What mantra jap?
Yeah.
We do Radhe Radhe. So if you can do that, that will be great. Radhe Shyam, Radhe Krishna, whatever Ishtadev comes naturally to you, go for it. Just do it with love, devotion, memorization, that's all. The philosophy is God's name has God's powers in it. So recite it as often as you want, but the key is keep remembering it as well. We do Radhe Radhe, but you are free to pick up any Ishtadev that comes naturally to you.
Okay. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Ajit ji, very nice.
Thank you.
Wonderful discussion.
Pragya ji, Pragya ji and Padma ji, please share your bhajans in the group. That is what the request is.
And please sing your audios and then post it. That's what it means. That is your assignment.
Absolutely. Yes. All right.
See, we got a thumbs up as well for that. So you already gotten the popular vote. And Kumarji, you can start training as well. Okay. You have some big shoes to follow now. Okay, let's do our closing prayers for the day. I know we are way over. Hope today's session you enjoyed. Please fill out the feedback tracker. Let me know. This concept is important and hopefully we were able to shed some light on it. Manishi, you want to recite? Please go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Paschyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe, thank you everybody. Have a wonderful day and great rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Tomorrow we will discuss the topic that we've been delaying for 2 days now. No new topic. We will stick to our syllabus, no out of syllabus stuff tomorrow, and continue on this discussion. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Nitinji, for another awesome session. Thank you all of you for your participation. It was an amazing session, and have a blessed day, blessed night. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.